There are, around the world, hundreds of UFO sightings every year, many of which are never reported or ever explained. Here's a very good example from 2004, caught on video by two pilots from the US Navy. What they filmed was a round object hovering over the water, about 100 miles into the Pacific Ocean. This is another incident from 2021, an American Airlines pilot flying between Cincinnati and Phoenix who saw a long cylindrical object that looked, you could see, like a cruise missile moving at high speeds in front of him. Well, today NASA revealed they have appointed a new director of research into what they call Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. So get used to saying UAP instead of UFO. As part of this year-long study, they say they've not yet uncovered any evidence of an extraterrestrial origin, but they are open to the idea. What's important, they say, is that we move from conspiracy and sensationalism to science, and they have pledged to continue this research in a more transparent fashion. Let's speak then to Dr. Jenny Millard. She's the extragalactic astronomer that many of you will be familiar with. Nice to have you on the programme this evening. I mean, this is slightly the problem, is that if you said that you'd seen something like this, you would be dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, which is why many of these sightings go unreported.
Exactly. And NASA want to move away from, conspiracy theories and sensationalism, as you said, and really start getting into the science. So, treating them not as UFOs, again, it's new terminology to try and move away from the conspiracy theories, so UAPs, and actually use science. So it's using satellites that are monitoring the Earth to see if we can figure out what these strange things are that people are seeing, collecting lots of evidence from people as well. So they're talking about developing apps where people can submit their sightings, and if we've got multiple sightings of the same thing, taken with different angles and, good quality imagery as well, nothing that's sort of grainy and awful to try and analyze, then we can actually try and figure out what these things are. Because, putting aliens to one side for a minute, it is important for us to understand what these things are in the sky, because they could spell, disaster for aviation. So even just from that road, it is important we kind of nail down what UAPs actually are.
So they want us to be transparent, and they say they will be transparent, but they're not going to tell us who their new director is. Why not?
I think that comes from a safety perspective, because at the minute there is, there are so many problems when it comes to sort of UFO reportings and things, and people really can be stigmatized. So I think at the minute they're just trying to protect the identity of the people involved. And then maybe over time, as we transition away from the conspiracy theories and towards more science, then that transparency will come. It can't change overnight, but I think the proposals that are in this report are a really interesting step to take us into the realm of science.
Do you think there has been a change in culture when it comes to discussing this issue? Because we've already had a congressional hearing this year, and we've heard evidence from various people. Whether or not there's any facts behind what they put forward is open to debate. But the very discussion of it is new, because in years gone by, it was a classified issue which the American government never wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and then if it was ever talked about, it was people who were dubbed crazy and mad and, really off the wall. And, there is something to be said. There are strange things in the sky, and thus far, most of the time, they can eventually be explained by an atmospheric phenomenon, or perhaps it's a weather balloon, perhaps it's an aircraft. But, sometimes there are things that are as yet unexplained. And so now that we're trying to open this narrative, hopefully it will lead to new, interesting science as well, and will solve some mysteries. And, it would be great to, kind of actually start treating this a little bit more seriously.
One of the things they said today was that they would be able to use artificial intelligence to help with the research. In what way?
Artificial intelligence and machine learning are great new computer techniques that we have for analysing huge amounts of data. And so when they're going to try and get people on board, submitting things to apps, there could be tens of thousands of submissions every single day once this is sort of up and running. And you can't have human eyes on all of that. So what we do is we use computers who have been trained by people to kind of sift through as much of it as possible, and then we can present it to human eyes. It just allows us to analyse greater amounts of data and really do a lot more science.
And they did say today that they were going to tie up with the Pentagon. I guess if the Pentagon is prepared to play ball, that might open a whole new field of research to them.
Yeah, and I guess the Pentagon being involved, is because when we're talking about airspace, there are elements of national security involved, and so it is right that government agencies of that effect are involved with these sorts of investigations, because that's the whole point, is to kind of allow us to gain more knowledge and understand what these things are in the sky and just figure out their nature.
I'm not convinced though that UAF's going to catch on. Are you? I mean, the movie. I don't think Hollywood's going to adopt UAF, is it?
Well, then maybe Hollywood can keep UFO and then we'll have UAP.
Okay, well, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme. That's Jenny Millard, extragalactic astronomer. That's the best title of the evening. Thank you very much.